Okay, a little bit about last week's game, and obviously excited about how we played most of the time, and we needed the week off. I thought that helped us, not really mentally at the game plan, but just physically getting everybody back fresh, ready to go and play another game. Both teams played pretty well, but at times we looked like contenders, and at times we looked like pretenders. We looked like we did the rest of the season, not very good. We could have had that ball game or we did have it in hand, and then we seemed to kind of let up, either whether it was on defense or offense. I thought obviously special teams pulled us out right there at the end, but some guys had to make some plays. It was an excellent performance out of a lot of guys, especially Mikel McKay probably played his best game, and he was all over the field making plays, blocking, catching balls, outrunning people. It wasn't Gunner's best game. Gunner has still got a lot of room for improvement. He tended to throw a couple of floaters during the game, but when the game was on the line at the end on the 2-minute drill, made a great drive and a couple of excellent throws, and that's what you got to do to win football games like that. Defensively, the bottom line is we tackled. We tackled better, and by doing that, we didn't give up as many big plays. We were able to make them punt a few times, and that was the best offense that we've seen, I think, all year long, including Ohio State. Just for simple fact, what they do, they throw and run, and defensive coaches had a good game plan. But overall, much improved. We needed that. We needed that win. We needed to play well at home, and now it's time to get on. We've got 3 games left in a short period of time, and so I'm glad we don't have open dates. I think open dates sometimes affect you in terms of your timing. We don't need open dates. I think that it gives us an opportunity to just get the last game out of the way and get back on with business. So looking forward to playing this week. Going on the road, talk a little bit about the weather last week. I was very concerned just for our football team of how we would handle the cool weather. At Memphis game, we didn't handle it very well at all. In this game, it really didn't affect us. I think our guys were prepared for it. They played, understood it. They understood the concentration of the game. And now going to 2 games up north this next 2 weeks, I think we're set, ready to go no matter what happens, because our guys were able to, even the guys that haven't played much in cooler weather, they handle it very well. So Connecticut has had a week off, as most teams have had this year before we play them. They've had a big win in the conference against UCF. Not many people have beaten them in the last few years, and that was a huge victory for them. We've got to go and now to kind of figure out what they're going to do. They change quite often on both sides of the ball of what they do. They've got a couple of quarterbacks they play. They play a wildcat guy. They play a quarterback that throws the ball. They have some good offensive linemen, excellent receivers. And then on the defensive side of the ball, it looks like they have a game plan for pretty much every team that they play. They change things up. So we're kind of just working on basics this week, trying to figure out what we can do and what we do best, and take it on the road and trying to make things happen. We've got to get better in special teams. I know we kicked a field goal last week, and we had a couple of decent punts and coverages, but we've got to continue to get better. I'm making some position changes there on special teams, try to get some guys in the game, maybe with a little bit more experience, and give us an opportunity to play better in that area. So we got our foot in the door with an opportunity to possibly win or tie for the championship, but that's far from our mind right now. We've got about 16 days. We've got to play 3 ball games, and so we got to worry about just one at a time and trying to play better. Questions?
You mentioned the tackling has been better. How has that improved over the year? How have you guys gotten that to improve?
Well, you work on it in practice. You talk about your players. It's more of a mental thing than this physical thing when you start missing tackles. But I can tell you this, you can talk about technique and all that. The best tacklers I've ever seen are athletes, guys that understand, hey, be very aggressive, go attack, don't be passive, don't let the guy in front of you make moves. And so we were very aggressive the other night. We knew we had to be. A couple of times we played off receivers in man coverage, and it didn't work very well. We had guys that just got out-athleted in open space, and so it's one thing that we've got to continue to improve on, but there was no doubt that one of the reasons that we were able to win the game, although we did give up a lot of points, is we tackle very well and are much better than we had in the past. So we'll continue to talk about it with our players, try to get them in the right position, but you can go out and tackle all you want in practice, and it's more about athletic ability than it is anything else, about being able to get somebody on the ground. You know, he's one of those that he loves kicking. He didn't know whether he was going to be the field goal kicker or Tony was going to be the field goal kicker going into the season. A lot of competition. I put him in a lot of pressure, and he's held up to the challenge. He's not a fundamental guy. He doesn't worry about fundamentals as much as just going out and just trying to do the best he can do. And I kind of like that about a kicker. Sometimes they get too technical, and when things go bad, things kind of go the other way on him, and it takes a while to get back. And so he's got a lot of courage. I thought Saturday night that was maybe a little bit out of his range, but you couldn't have told him that. I don't talk to him much during the game. You know, you talk to punters or kickers, and you know it's like talking to a rocket scientist. You know, their mind is somewhere else, which is, you know, they're concentrating on the game, and they're not like a normal football player. You know, they've got to get psyched up. They're thinking about things that they need to do, and so I kind of stay away from him. But he's been good for the team, not just him. You know, he gives us stability to what we want to do, and he is very accurate. The only thing I worried about the other day was his leg in the you know, with cold weather. And as I said after the game, two of the most important parts of the kick is the snap and the hold in that kind of weather. It doesn't take much to screw a kicker up. So those two have to work first, and then he has to be able to hit it solid and have his accuracy, and he did a good job. So really proud for him. I think he's been Player of the Week, Kaz, a couple of times? Three times this year. So quite a turnaround from last year.
Do you have to remind yourself sometimes that he's a freshman?
Yeah, you know, and I hadn't even thought about it until somebody brought it up the other day that this is, you know, he is a freshman. You know, he's a guy that's hadn't been around very long. It seemed like 10 years since I've been here. So I don't think about freshmen or sophomores, and you know, I just worry more about production. And one thing about him, though, he comes to work every day and he tries to get better. And we have to tell him not to kick. I mean, he'd go out there and kick his leg off if you let him. But he's probably because he's young, he's really hamped up in every practice and tries to make himself better. And so that's the reason that you know, he's pretty hyper. So, but you know, he was ecstatic. You know, and I started to go tackle him the other day after he kicked that field goal, because I could see that referee looking at him as he was running the other end of the field, and we still had some time on the clock. And so we kind of got that straight in here about how to celebrate on our sideline instead of in the student section after a game when something like that happens, because 15-yard penalty would have been devastating in that situation. So live and learn. You know, these are kids we're dealing with. They don't think correctly sometimes in situations that they should think a little bit better and more mature.
Logic would say that your running game shouldn't be as good as it is because you've lost two starters on the offensive line, and your third and fourth team running backs are the guys getting your yards. So how do you explain the increase in the production on that?
Well, obviously we were playing the wrong guys at the beginning of the year. We should have been playing these two playing, because they've played much better. Not that it take anything away from Jose or Tion. You know, we might not be where we were at if they would still been playing. Now, granted, both of them were injured most of the year, and we tried to make it with them. They just couldn't go any longer. So I guess it had to do something with fresh kids coming into the game that hadn't played much, that had nothing to lose, and they have really given us a shot in the arm on offense. I mean, they've helped us and in a lot of ways. So it'll be a pretty good battle next year when we get the other two back. Both will hopefully be able to redshirt and come back and have another year. But you know, it's just good to see somebody step up and take over and even do better than what we'd been doing. And not to take anything away from those two, Tion Jose are good kids and work hard, but sometimes different styles of running backs help you against different teams. And these two kids have done great. They make people miss. That's the exciting thing that I see from the sideline is they refuse to let one guy bring them down, and they keep their legs running. And when they get into open field, they're able to change directions and make it very difficult to be tackled in open field. Yeah, everybody's fine. We're as healthy right now as we've been, knock on wood. Yeah, well, I wanted to get him in the other night. That thing was just so close. And we didn't – I thought a little bit about it in the middle of the third quarter when we just absolutely just let the air out of it, of what we were doing, and we lost our mental edge. We drove and scored the first drive of the third quarter, and then I think the next three drives we didn't do much, and it got us in a bind. And I thought a little bit about it at that time, but, that cold weather and his knee, you just didn't want to take a chance with a kid that had done well most of the game and just put him in there just to be playing him. I mean, that was no reason to do that. So hopefully we can get him in the game this week and do it for reasons of winning a game and not just going in just to be going in.
The last play of the game where they get the kick and they're going to lateral the ball all over the place, how much do you prepare to defend something like that, or can you?
No, you don't know what they're going to do. We put 6 DBs in the game to put more speed in the game. I've thought at times about putting Johnny Holton in the, deep in the middle of the field because there's nobody there could outrun him, somebody like that. But he's not used to tackling. But I thought our guys did a pretty good job, especially Payne, who was to the field. He stayed at home when they threw the ball across the field, but the guy was just kind of hanging, and there's a reason he's just standing over there. And so they threw the ball back, and we were able to scoop it up and score the touchdown. That's a hit-and-miss deal. But you've seen a lot of them work, and you see a lot of them. Not a lot of them work, but the ones that do work, you see them on TV a lot. So you think, hey, man, it's a high percentage play. It's really low percentage, especially from that area. Now, what they needed, if we'd have got the 15-yard penalty, they'd one pass away from trying to kick a field goal themselves. So that's the reason it was so important we didn't get that 15-yard celebrating penalty, and we talked about it in here. But it's just good to see that we got lined up and we played with confidence on that last play. It was but you just don't know what they're going to do. You've got to do something like that. And we've got something in the same category of the last play, but it's just hard to execute.
Connecticut has struggled offensively earlier in the year. They've done lately in the last 3 games where they played so much better offensively.
Their quarterback's been more consistent. They put one of their receivers, probably the fastest guy they've got on their team, at a Wildcat position, running the football. He scored once, had some long runs against Central Florida, broke the line of scrimmage, made some plays. Their quarterback's throwing the ball better. He's got more experience. Just kind of those things, it's just things happen for him. And it's like us in a couple of games that we looked a lot better at times than we have. They're young and we're young, and that's going to happen. You're going to have good outings and you're going to have bad outings. And they've had some of theirs and we've had some of ours. But it all usually goes back to the performance of a quarterback and the running game. And putting a Wildcat guy in there to run the ball is a heck of a lot less execution than throwing the football. And he made a difference for them in the Central Florida game, big game that they won.
Has Hughes helped you with this team? He knows their personnel.
Yeah, he knows the personnel. He knows a lot of the players. Some are new that come in. Some didn't play last year, redshirted, that he didn't know a lot about. But, we obviously use everything you can. We talk about positions and players and speed and those kind of things. But it only goes so far. It's just like it's a very extensive scouting report. That's all it is. And then you got to go play. You got to cover and you got to execute. But it's good to have somebody that knows some of the players and has been around them.